I was born with the name in 1921 in Vilna, Poland, Chaim Leib Schneider. Chaim is live, Leib is a lion, and Schneider is a tailor. The reason I changed it is being a contractor and building homes. I didn't want to walk around, in America it's a different Chaim Leib Schneider. So I made it easy, Herman Snyder, when I got my citizen papers. That's why I did it. Not because I didn't like my name, but it's better like that. Well, my father, he was like a Hebrew teacher, and my mother, she was a homemaker usually, but she was translating letters from the United States from Polish to the English language. That's what my mother was doing. She spoke English because she was in America. When you come to a different country, it's good when you learn how to speak the language. And that's what she did. It came handy to her when I told you this story, she went back in 1914, First World War started. She couldn't come back, she married my father, and they had 3 children. And she stayed in Europe till they were killed. And if she wouldn't have gone, I wouldn't be born. And people were coming, letters from the United States, and she was translating to them. And they were bringing food, eggs, and chicken, and other things from the farms. We were very, very poor. Father didn't do good. And I had a sister and a brother, younger than me. I'm the oldest. My sister was Gneshe. It's G-N-E-S-H-E, Gneshe, Schneider. And my brother was Zorach, Z-O-R-A-C-H, Zorach Schneider. When I was 14 years old, I already did cabinet work. I had to go out, make enough money to buy food for my sister and brother. Yeah, I started early. I developed my disposition that being verantwortlich, which means responsible. My father's friends, we were poor, so they took me in, and they had orchards. So they were also sending me to watch so the children won't come into the orchard and pick up the fruits. So I was getting food from them, and they were teaching me the trade, not carpenter, cabinet maker. But in certain circumstances, you find yourself, parents and children, they all try to survive the best they know how, because there's no alternative. And maybe things, we're always optimistic usually, and you'll get better, because you have to be optimistic. If you are pessimistic, forget it. Even I know that. In Poland, always was anti-Semitism against the Jews. Anti-Semitism is today too, all over the world, in Europe now, what's happening against the Jews. And everything because of religion and capitalism. I learned a lot about work, love, hate, living in a country where anti-Semitism in Poland was the worst. Worse than in other places. Catholics. Because it has to do with religion and other things. Many Jews died before the war because they were Jews in Poland. They came September 17, 1939, to us in Vilna, Poland. I was never scared of anything. 5 weeks later, they came back to our town, and they told us to go out to a specific location. They call it a market or a bazaar or whatever the people do business, to be there And then from that moment on, we walked 21 kilometers, all the families, to a place where they call ghetto. And there we were there in the ghettos. I ran away because I saw something. See, the Russians didn't kill anybody. They came there when Poland was divided between the Germans and the Russians. And then the anti-Semites in Poland, where I was born, worked with the Germans. All your problem is because of the Jews. We have to kill them. That's the propaganda by the Germans and by Poles. And when I already knew that what they were doing to the Jews, so I decided not to wait. I didn't know, if I'll tell you that I knew then what's going to be, I didn't know. But I didn't like what was going on between Russia and Germany. The ditches were dug by the Ukrainians, the Lithuanians, the Poles, so they can kill the people who were in the ghettos. 3 days later, June 22nd, 1941, they took them all and they shot them all. After they were all shot, 1,888, next day, they dug up, the blood was still fresh, and they removed the teeth, the golden teeth. 70 years later, I'm still here because I ran away. If I wouldn't have run away, I would be with the 1,888 people all laying shot. In 1944, when the Russians let us in, I had a job to make the boxes for the bombs as a cabinet maker. And then already it was liberated, the place where I was born. And then me and my wife left our daughter in Russia, on the Volga, and we came to the place where I was born. That's the time I found out. Where they were laying, I went many times there, the monument is there, that here lay 1,888 Jewish people, beautiful Jewish people, was written by the Russian, shot by the Germans, bandits, and the Germans. That's what it's written on it. That's what I find out later on. I don't know why would one country decide who shall live and who shall die. I don't know. When I ran away from ghetto, at 6 a.m., I knocked in the door. A woman, 60, 65 probably, came out. Co pan chce, in Polish, what I want. I said, jestem głodny, I want to eat. So the woman gave me food, and she put me in the barn. After it was getting dark, she brought me more food, and she said, Pan musi iść, I have to go, because if the German will find out that she's hiding a Jew, she'll be punished. And that's how my journey started, from that moment on. In the woods, by myself, for a while. 4 days, 5 days, nothing to eat, afraid to come out. The Germans are there, or somebody will squeal on you. It wasn't easy. And they had people who were telling the Germans where the Jews live, where they are now, and they were getting compensated, they were getting money for bringing a Jew. There were 4 brothers and a son, and 4 brothers and a father, and 2 sons and a mother. Those people were beautiful to the Jews. They were supporting the Jews, helping them, those people. And as soon as the Poles and the Russians left, started doing the same thing with the Germans, maybe not that, they start to kill. So the 4 brothers and their father helped the Jews from the other Poles who were killing the Jews. The mother with the 2 sons and the father with the 4 sons. They were helping the Jews. But then as soon as 5 weeks later they came, they were all shot for helping the Jews. And that's how it started. That's how it started. The propaganda, the Germans, they are superior. You see, psychologically, when you're hungry, you didn't have water, people will come and give it to you. You'll believe everything. There's certain things in our lives, we will never think about it. And sometimes we do things we would never do. The circumstances brings us to do. Oh, hunger is the worst pain you can get. It's from inside. The body wants it. So many stories happen because somebody survived. It's not one thing, it's not another thing. He had to do something. And I knew that the Jews are being killed, not only by the Germans, by others. You're young, so you run. I was lucky. That's all it is. That's all it is. So histories can be negative, most negative than positive. But it's all done again by humans. Why is this happening? No clothes. Clothes we had, yeah, but one time, the end of 42, we saw a lake and I didn't have a shower for 11 months. We saw a beautiful lake. I saw the bottom, the fish. I undressed. I walked in there. I didn't want to get out for an hour. But when I came out, I started putting the pants back in again. It fell apart, hundreds of pieces, because I wore them for 11 months. I didn't have a shower. That's what kind of things happens. I'm in the woods, like thousands of years ago, in the time of the caves. I'm like naked, nothing to eat, and I'm in the woods. What do you do? So people, 3 of them, I remember it vividly, stole 3 suits. And I put a new suit. I thought I was going to a wedding. they rather, yeah. We were stealing food. One time, Weihnacht, Christmas, the 25th of December in Poland. It's the greatest holiday, Jesus' birthday and so forth. So they were having a pig, and the way, if you know, they put them on a stick and they burn them to get ripe. Okay. We were 8 of us then, and we smelled it from miles away. So 8 of us, it was already ready to eat. We picked up the pig and we carrying them to the place where we were in the woods. If they would have dogs, I wouldn't be here now. Could never cook. How could you cook in the woods? The smoke will come out, the flames, and will be cut right away. In the woods, whatever you could get, whatever you find, certain things in the summer they grow in the woods, you know. Then the farmers, when they were leaving, left potatoes. We were eating raw potatoes because you couldn't cook there. Not eating for 4 or 5 days, no water, afraid to come out. But we had a family, Musikanten, Germans, on the Polish-German border. And their children were coming out. They were beautiful people. When we should come out and when we shouldn't come out. When the Germans were there, like they walked in the woods and they were talking to us. Not all Poles, not all Germans were bad. Not all of them. Always somebody who was alert. Not one more. When you are 30, 40 people, 50 or 10, you always have somebody with the machine guns right in your hands. You're laying on the snow. It's about 2 feet of snow, 3 feet of snow. Nothing to cover up with. There's 16, 18 below zero. And you lay on the snow. And that's it. 6, 8 below, 10 below, 12 below zero. The snow is coming. You lay right on the snow. Sometimes we were building in the snow, cut out a hole, because the Germans were there, and you go in the hole, and the next one were coming. I cover it up, and you go next. Everything was how do you say it in English? Everything was a struggle. And sometimes you fell asleep even. And how many times I thought, that's the last night. I'll be on this world or alive. I got up. It means what I'm trying to tell you, the suffering too much does not kill you. Because if you have hope, it's psychological. You know what happened in Auschwitz? They were taking them already. The ditches were dug to be shot. Then they're looking from the windows and they saw different uniforms. And they start talking to each other, the people there in the camps. Oh, look, it's not Germans' uniforms. Oh, it's Russian uniforms. They came out and they kissed the Russians, their boots. I see when I talk about it. And they were saved. The only thing you know is that each one of us helped each other, how to go find food, how to go do things. In this situation, everybody was your brother and your sister. I had a girl, she was 16. Mariashka was her name. They had a bakery in our town. I don't know how she came from, how to survive the gathers and the killings. We took her in. And she was with me all the time. And I don't know, a girl is different than men when it comes to certain specific things. Everything I got, sometimes I didn't need enough and I give it to her because she was from my town. And then 1945, she emigrated to Israel, 1948, independent. And I find out where she lives. And I walked to the door and I rang the bell. And your daughter came out. Ima, Chaim Badelet. Ima, Chaim Badelet. Hebrew. Mother, Chaim is at the door. I met at the door. She came out. She was married to a doctor. They had 3 children. For hours, we didn't leave the room. She knew, if not me, she wouldn't have survived. No, everything was for her. But then when she was young, she said, we are not going to survive, Chaim. I said, no, Mayashke. Mayashke was her name. I said, no, we'll survive. And she always tells me that. This is a chance we took. We never knew that we were going to survive. One time, they gave me money. Polish, I was born there, I spoke Polish. The stores were open to buy food. I'm crossing halfway the street to the store to buy it. Halt, poczekaj, Polish and German. The German asked the Polish, am I Jude or Pole? Am I Jewish or Polish? And they said, I'm Polish, not Jewish. Then the German said, the Polish officer was sympathetic to me, he knew I was Jewish. Then they said, they muss die Trousern unternehmen. You know what it means? You take your pants off and see if you're circumcised. And that's what they told me to do. And the Polish officer said, wir haben keine Zeit, we don't have time, let's go. And here's another time that I survived. It was that close. It was many times like that. One time, there were 17,000 Germans on a train going east, a general, too. We were 18 then. So we took apart the railroad tracks. We put dynamite. And when the train came, it was blown up. Many Germans were killed. Some of them were 100 feet in the air, and then the partisans were shooting them down, those who were alive. When they coming down, they were already hurt, some of them weren't, but they were shot. I wasn't involved in that. So sometimes we were successful to do something against them. It was already in 1943. The Russians were winning. They were doing things to hurt the Russians and to kill as many Jews they could. But it was the end. Even then, certain days are better than others, more relaxed. The Germans weren't there. We knew about it because people were telling us they are losing the war. They are not the same as they were before, with their enthusiasm to take over the world. And we ran to Russia. And finally it came in 1943, after I lived through. We were 12 then, and the Russians were there on the border. Откуда вы пришли? Where did it came from? Что вы здесь делаете? What am I doing in here? I said, мы партизаны, мы пришли из лес. We are partisans, we came from the woods. Then my mouth, I started talking Russian because they were 2 years in Vilna where I was born. September 17, 1939, June 2nd, 1941. So I learned Russian. So I told them, you were in our town 2 years, and you send us to schools. Okay, good. And that's it. And then we were in Russia already, 2.5 years. I had married, beautiful Russian girl, 3 children. And then from Russia, they let us go. We went to Germany. We couldn't go to Vilna because it's Lithuania now. I was born in Poland. So we went to Sudetenland, Breslau and Wroclaw, they called it. I had less than a month. I read the papers in the morning. 42 zabite, a 82 ranjone. 42 dead and 82 wounded. Because the Jewish people who survived like me, their parents, it was in the West, their parents had houses. And they survived, and they wanted to get the houses. So they were killed a year after the war. We didn't stay for 1 day. We went to Czechoslovakia, thousands of us. And from Czechoslovakia, the some-kind Jewish organization, UNRWA, they took us to East Germany. And that's it, from one place to another. You're lucky. We did things, always running to survive. And that's the way I was lucky. I don't know. I don't know what it is, what it was. Why did I wanted to live so much? I only was happy that I was a carpenter, a cabinet maker. If you come to this country and work for 75 cents an hour, 11 years later, in 1961, you have 39 men working for you. It's success. As a carpenter, a married man, 3 children, did the best I could, tried to live better than others, and enjoy life. What else is there? Can't take it with you. Никогда не надо бояться. Never be afraid of anything. But hurting others, even if you accomplish your objectives, is the worst thing you can do for yourself in your future life. Love conquers everything. Hate is very destructive.